Hey, this is Dave with Entrust One, and we just wanted to make a quick video for institutions that are wondering what they can do to take care of things before their institution opens, for example, schools opening in August. And basically what we found is that there are three general areas that we want to take into account before we open up. And each of these areas has the same three things in common. One is that each of them is effective. Second is each one is verifiable. And third is each one is transmissible. In other words, we can show people what we've done to take care of them. So the first area that we want to talk about is what we do before the doors open. And what we've recommended with people is that we have a two-step process, and I'll leave a link to that in this letter. We have a two-step process whereby we remove biofilms, in other words, human grease, for lack of a better word, and then we fog the area. Now, the reason we want to remove biofilms from high-touch areas is that biofilms are basically little feeding grounds for viral communities, and we want to make sure that we remove that, because even, for example, even if you put bleach over a biofilm, once that bleach burns off or denatures, that biofilm then becomes an active food source again. So to get things really started on the right foot, you need to remove the biofilm from a surface. And then we can put, for example, a 90-day viral prevention fogging over that. Now, the second thing we'd want to do is we want to make sure that we verify that this has been effective. And we do that through ATP testing. Now, my ATP testing kit is out in the field today, but basically the video that's included in this letter will show you that we can actually verify that a surface has been cleaned, and we can actually test along the way to determine how quickly biofilms and decontamination or contamination build up on that surface again. So we have a good, realistic view of what is actually happening. In other words, we could come in and say we've cleaned, but until we've done the actual test on the surface, then we know whether or not that's clean. And then the third part of this equation is that we want to make sure that we can transmit or make available this information to concerned parties. For example, if we're in a school, it might be good to, for example, make a video like this, explaining what we're doing, testing several areas in the school, showing the results, so that parents and staff, children coming back into that space will feel a level of comfort that the space is honestly and verifiably clean. And this will also reduce the workload on our staff from concerned parents, parents who are worried about their children, for example, staff who are worried about coming back into a space, making sure that it's clean. So then the second area we'd like to address is what happens when you open the doors. And that can fall into two categories. One is basically what the institution's doing, and the second is basically what the people who inhabit that institution are doing. So as far as what the institution might want to do is we've recommended to several institutions that they have a day porter service, cleaners who go through, they're dressed, they've got masks and gloves on, and they go through and they just clean the high touch surfaces all day long, for example. So you're wiping down door handles, hand railings, anything, light switches that kids might touch. And this will greatly reduce the transmission and keep that space clean. In fact, in a study on spaces, it's been found that it only takes 4 hours for a decontaminated space to become contaminated again if people are not following basic hygiene protocols. So that, again, we can show with verifiability. We can test and show that, yes, in fact, this is greatly reducing the amount of transmissible biofilm on a surface. And again, we can put this as part of maybe a newsletter or a message out to parents and staff that this is what we're doing to ensure our end of the safety deal for your students. Now, the third area is actually students and staff coming back into an institution. And it's worthwhile maybe having a little bit of an educational campaign explaining to students the increased importance of washing their hands, the increased importance of wiping down surfaces when we're done using them. And as a former teacher, I can tell you, it was the kiss of death when a kid would sneeze in your face, and you just knew that, like, okay, 5 days later, I'm going to be sick because I just got a massive dose of kid, sneeze in my face. So one of the things that we found is that in institutions that actually have good protocols, the amount of transmission among the staff and students decreases. Now, that's a normal common cold and flu, but that would probably stand up for the virus as well. So, for example, teaching staff members and students to wipe doorknobs with a paper towel when they're leaving the bathroom, when we're using the office refrigerator and microwave, and light switches, we want to make sure that we wipe that down because anything that any of us have picked up, we want to be able to quickly get rid of that and not bring it into a shared area. And even as far as educating parents on the need, if your child is coughing or running a fever, please, please, please keep them home, because this is a more dangerous sort of a era that we're living in, and these things need to be taken seriously. So our advice to our clients and non-clients, and you're welcome to give me a call, and I'm happy to come out and chat with you about this, that's my job, is to, one, make sure that before you open the doors that the space is truly clean and that you've communicated this to people. Second, if you decide to engage someone to continually keep the space clean, let the families and staff know about that, because that is actually a huge potential reduction in transmission of not only the coronavirus, but flus, infectious agents and things like that anyways. And third is to make sure that the school maybe has a new view of hygiene. For example, some places they've put in those little door handles that you open with your wrist. That reduces transmission, although then it's on your wrist. But things like making sure that people are clued into washing their hands more, maybe picking up the classroom at the end of the day, not coming to school if they're running a fever or they're coughing and sick. So I hope that this information is valuable to you. We found that a lot of people are very unsure of what to do as far as going forward. And if that's the case with you, or you just want an opinion, like I said earlier, give me a call or shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to take care of you. And I hope I have a good rest of the day. Take care.